Hello fragrance family and friends, Tommy here with Studio Sense, and today I'm bringing you a little bit different video. I thought I'd bring in the new year with a resolution. My resolution was to choose 5 fragrances that I feel like I need to retire. What I mean by retire is just to put them aside for the entire year of 2021, not use them, give some hang time or some wear to some other fragrances that are very similar. So when we return, I'm going to show you 5 fragrances that for me, I'm going to leave in 2020, and I'll show you some alternatives that you can use in 2021. That and more, so stay tuned. Welcome back everyone. So today I'm talking about 5 fragrances that I feel like need to stay in 2020. I'm gonna retire them for a year, just not use them. Fragrances that I feel like have had their heyday, have had their use, they've become a little bit hackneyed. I feel like it's time to give something else the spotlight in their place. And so that's what today's video is all about. The very first fragrance that I feel like needs to be retired, at least for a year, Christian Dior Sauvage. That's right, Sauvage. A lot of people are turning this video off or throwing virtual eggs at me, and that's perfectly fine. I'll welcome all of that. Because again, I'm not saying to get rid of it, I'm not saying throw it away, I'm just saying retire it for a year. Yes, Sauvage is an extremely popular, iconic men's fragrance with great performance. It's the staple of a fragrance to a lot of guys out there, but what can you use in its stead? I submit that an equally good and in some ways better ambroxan or ambroxide-based fragrance would be from the house of Prada, from the Luna Rossa line, and that is Carbon. Luna Rossa Carbon. Bergamot zest, pepper, lavender, patchouli, and ambroxan make up the majority of the notes in this fragrance, and it has 1,001 uses similar to Sauvage. It's extremely alluring, it's magnetic, it's immediately recognizable, it has that little bit of a powdery essence or side note to it that makes it a Prada fragrance. It seems to be in a lot of Prada fragrances, and it's just an overall outstanding fragrance. Now, if you're not a fan of Prada Luna Rossa Carbon, which if you're a fan of Sauvage, I'm not sure why you wouldn't be, you can also turn to Coach Platinum. Coach Platinum has proven itself to be an amazing little fragrance. Pepper, pineapple, juniper berry, it's got sage, it's got geranium, cashmere, leather, vanilla, some really good dark, rich notes. Both Prada Luna Rossa Carbon and Coach Platinum are both hyper versatile. They're both perfect as signature scents, and they can be used in any kind of situation and weather, similar to Dior Sauvage, and that's why I submit that I'm going to be using these two instead of Sauvage for the year 2021. For my next fragrance that I'm going to retire for 2021 and leave in the year 2020 is another heavy hitter. It is Creed Aventis. It set the standard for men's fragrance in a lot of people's eyes, and I definitely understand and I don't disagree with that. And again, I'm not saying to get rid of your bottle of Creed Aventis. That would be ridiculous. Extremely expensive. But Creed Aventis gets so much hang time, it gets so much of the spotlight, I think it's time to put it aside, at least for a year. If you can prove that you can do that, you might just simply find some other fragrances that you like equally as well. What can you use in the stead though? If you really like Creed Aventis's style, if you really like the scent profile and DNA, well, Alfred Dunhill has created a fragrance called Dunhill Desire Gold. If you can say at all that Creed Aventis has a youthful, playful, kind of fruity side, especially with the pineapple in there, and yet you don't really get a lot of hang time with that pineapple note, you'll really enjoy Desire Gold by Dunhill. But if you like the professional side, the hyper versatile side of Creed Aventis, then you'll really enjoy using Mont Blanc Explorer. Mont Blanc Explorer is a fantastic Creed Aventis-like fragrance without being specifically a clone. And of course, there's always a direct clone of Aventis if you want to use one. There's quite a few. L'Aventure, you've got Armaf's Club de Nuit Intense Man, but just give Creed Aventis a break, at least for a year. That's what I'm gonna do. This next fragrance that I'm retiring for the year 2021, leaving in 2020, is a fragrance that many men consider a staple in their date night portfolio. I myself have used it on many, many occasions. In fact, it used to be my signature scent and I wore it all the time. And that is Yves Saint Laurent La Nuit de Lhomme. La Nuit de Lhomme is a fragrance that has been lauded for its wonderful creamy, soft, but powerful aesthetic. It's very magnetic, it's very alluring, it's very seductive. So it is a fantastic date night fragrance, but it's also been out there for a very long time. The scent profile and the DNA has been replicated in other fragrances before, and I feel that there are some fragrances that do it just a little bit better. So instead of using La Nuit de Lhomme in the year 2021, I'm going to continue using one that is a favorite of mine and many people. It's from Dolce & Gabbana. Of course, it is the one Eau de Parfum. Basil, grapefruit, coriander, ginger, cardamom, orange blossom, amber, tobacco, and cedar. Yes, people are used to smelling this as well, similar to La Nuit de Lhomme, but instead of being overused or hackneyed, I feel like people aren't tired of this fragrance DNA yet. I certainly am not. And when I want something that makes me a little bit more attractive, more than the average generic shower gel blue fragrance out there, this is the one that I typically turn to and that I'll continue turning to in 2021. That is Dolce & Gabbana, the one Eau de Parfum. Another fragrance that I still really like, but I feel like has been played and kind of played out, similar to La Nuit de Lhomme and similar to Aventis. And although Aventis hasn't really played out, again, it's very classic, and all these I consider classic, but I think it's time something get a little more of the spotlight, is from Jean Paul Gaultier. It is the popular clubbing fragrance. I do really like that lavender, sweet lavender, juicy bubblegum flavoring and essence of this. The vibe of this is very youthful, it's very spirited still, but again, it's been played out to a degree that I feel like there are other fragrances out there that do it better, yet in the same line actually. So I'm not giving up on the scent profile, I'm not giving up on the DNA of Le Male, I'm just saying there's something else I think that does it better, two other somethings actually that do it better. Yes, I'm referring to Ultramale. Ultramale is to me a higher concentration of everything that I like in Le Male. It is a bit sweet, so it is on the sweet side. If you're not a fan of sweet fragrances, you probably will shy away from this one. So if you're not a fan of sweet fragrances, you're probably not a fan of Le Male anyway, so it's not a big deal to you to retire something that you don't like. However, I feel like this one is still not overplayed. It still has that really nice Le Male DNA with a little bit more oomph or push to it. This lasts longer, it's more voluminous, it's a darker, richer, and again, much more sweet. And I really enjoy the DNA of this. So when I feel like I want a Le Male day, I just grab Ultramale. Now again, if you're not a fan of sweet, but you do like that Le Male DNA, then Le Male Le Parfum will be the one you want to turn to. This is a rich alternative that I really like. You like that Le Male DNA, but you want something a little bit more mature, something a little bit more lavender, vetiver, patchouli centric, something dry, elegant, and less sweet than Le Male or Ultramale, then Le Male Le Parfum is a fantastic fragrance. I think people underestimate just how good this fragrance is, so if you've been a hater of Le Male for many years and you're just like, I don't really like that, you should really give Le Male Le Parfum a try. You might be surprised at how much you like it. It's such a fantastic quality fragrance. That is Jean Paul Gaultier's Le Male Le Parfum and Ultramale. The last fragrance that I'm going to retire for a year isn't really a big deal because I've actually retired it some time ago, but it's big enough of a fragrance, big enough of a name. It's kind of what a lot of people consider a heavy hitter. Is from Paco Rabanne. It is Paco Rabanne's Invictus. Yes, I talked about Invictus alternatives just the other day in a video, so this might be familiar or similar to that video to a lot of people. I'm boxing all of these fragrances up and I'm actually putting them away in storage. So I'm going to kind of sort of archive these so I can't actually access them. It'll make it a lot easier to keep to my promise of putting them away for 2021. Now there's a ton of different alternatives to Invictus that you can turn to, and all of them are probably equally good to some degree. But one that I find that I use quite frequently, that I really like, that my wife absolutely loves, and that all the people that have smelled this on me have given me compliments about it, happens to be a Hugo Boss fragrance, and it is Hugo Boss Bottled United. Boss Bottled United, it's kind of similar in terms of the silver, but Boss Bottled United contains some really unique notes in it. Buchu is one, it's an African agathosma plant. Fruity in terms of being a little bit sweet sour, like apricot or peach, kind of a combination of those two. That's in the open. So that open is really unique. It also has some ozonic notes and a blood orange. That lasts into the heart, a very minty heart. You've got peppermint, spearmint, and iris. What a unique combination. That minty freshness just adds to the body, the depth, the breadth, and the longevity, the performance of this fragrance. I find it works really, really well on warm summer days, but also on winter afternoons that are really cold. If you wear this fragrance right around 40 degrees or just above freezing, it brings out a side of this that is really uniquely enjoyable. primarily that fresh mint side. So instead of Invictus, it still has kind of that sweet, lightly bubblegummy vibe that Invictus has, but it goes a little bit further, gives a little bit more breadth and depth, and thus more versatility. That is Boss Bottled United. Well guys, that's it for my 5 fragrances that I'm going to leave in 2020, that I'm retiring at least for a year. Now again, at the end of 2020 or the beginning of 2022, I'll get them out of the box, get them out of the archives, try them on again, and of course get to enjoy them. But it might be good too, if you think about your collection or your however many fragrances that you have, to give some that you haven't been giving some hang time a little bit more love. Give them the spotlight for a little while. If there are fragrances that you own that you're thinking about maybe retiring for a time frame or time period, let me know what those are in the comments below. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking out my video today. As always, thank you so much for your support on my channel. I'm Tommy with StudioSense, and I'll see you tomorrow.